Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Maui, Hawaii. Man, these people ain't playing no games. They never have been. You know, when we say everything that we've been told is a lie, if you don't take this literal, there's no way you can understand what that means. You know, has been happening over and over again. If you don't know what we're going through right now in these times, people, we're going through a reset. They did it once before. They've done this several times. And you think you just dealing with humans, but they gave you these books. They gave you the allegories to show you, see, burning winds should be the portion of their cup. They told you this because they know that they create these scenarios. You see what I mean? You think you dealing with only humans, but you're not. It's a bigger hand in play at this. And I was introduced to these videos of this YouTube channel called Divergent. Go check him out, Divergent. He talk about the old world, and this person is very thorough with his layout of this. And he show you proof that, man, I don't even want to tell you. Go watch Divergent. He just show you proof that everything you know is a lie. Trust and believe this. If you diligent enough to take your time and see what he's saying, he show you this stuff right here about how the old world was free energy. And all these old buildings, they've been here. Some of them are submerged beneath the ground. You know, you only seeing the top of these buildings and stuff like this. You know, they tell us it was a flood and things like this, but you got to question everything because we seeing these direct energy weapons. We know that all catastrophes that we read about in these religious texts has been orchestrated. You better trust and believe that, because what you witnessing right now is a reset. They're resetting the world slowly, but it's going to ramp up. They've been doing this for years. They finna come with these smart cities and stuff like that. They've been doing this for a long time, thousands of years, the custodians. And you better understand, you not dealing with flesh and blood beings when you get to the level where we talking about where they can reset the world and wipe out parts of humanity and wipe us out, period. It didn't happen before with the giant civilizations. Some of these beings were still around in the 16, 17, 1800s. They'll never tell you about why some of these wars has took place. They was trying to take technology, destroy evidence of certain things like you looking at here. These big old blimp looking things used to be able to pull up and plug up to a building, plug up to all type of little towers they had around. But you never been told this in school, and many people are being insulted by this type of intelligence because they think that they are educated. But you educated in the modern day matrix. And everything that you've been told is a lie, beyond a lie. You know, they sprinkle portions of the truth to us in film and entertainment and stuff like that. Humanity is in for a big surprise in these next years to come. There's no telling how long we got before this stuff get outrageous. You know what I mean? Because if you've been watching my page, I've been showing you this stuff for a very long time, almost 10 years. When they did this stuff that just happened in Maui, in California in 2018, I was showing you, I said, them direct energy weapons, because I've been studying all that type of stuff, HARP and all this other stuff they got going on, man. They not playing no games. They got all type of craft above your head. You can't see these things because they have cloaking devices, but people are seeing them in every city. You got a cell phone now, they showing you all these things that's happening in the world. They coming on the news, buffering in around like they still in some type of mystery about this stuff that's going on. And a lot of y'all is right with them, but they know what's going on. You see this? Yeah, direct energy weapons. They didn't have this stuff hundreds of years already. You know? Many people just can't believe that it's stuff like this floating around above your head. You better take a real good look at the tip of this thing right here, buddy, because this is what's going on right here. Ooh, good shit too much. If you think for 1 second that this is a force fire or whatever cover story that they told you on the news media, you are a sleepwalker. This was orchestrated. That's a direct energy weapon hits. You see everything is directly hit. And the crazy part about it, take a look for yourself and do some investigating. No trees were burned. These people were partying, kicking it, going to work, marrying, thinking about getting married, all the stuff that they gave you in the script. And their life got hit with a hard pill to swallow. And this is serious. We got to think about this type of stuff in these cities where we living at. They did it in California. What's so special about your city that you couldn't wake up tomorrow and this could be you? We gotta leave the bullshit alone. Start treating each other better. Start sitting down with our families. Start discussing these things, man. Because we wake up away from something like this. If it happened to them, it can happen to us. That's just how I look at this, man. Imagine waking up tomorrow and it's you in your city or your island. If people watch my stuff from everywhere. This is real, man. We gotta start waking up and realizing what's going on, man. Getting closer and closer. This is the end of the world to a person that you're looking at on the screen right here. It's the end of their world. This is like an apocalyptic event to these people. This is very serious and it's touching, man. Look at that. Imagine how many people got caught off guard and that died in this, man. They'll never tell us those numbers. Imagine how many people got caught off guard and they came outside and they looked around and seen burning winds, fire everywhere. And this was the last thing a lot of them seen. You would think that that was the end of the world like they say in the Bible. A lot of people watched themselves about to be consumed by fire and thought just that.
Oh, we made it. We're gonna line on the road now pretty soon. But we don't. Oh, somebody's down right there. Oh. Somebody's down right there.
Yeah, somebody's down. Just go there. We cannot do nothing for her. Oh my god.
Oh my god, bro.
Just go there. Just go. Oh. We cannot do nothing for her.
What the fuck, dude?
Just go. Go, people. Go. Beat the horse, Dad.
Oh my god, bro. Oh.
Yeah, beat the horse. Just go.
Can't see. Yeah, I know you can't see. What the fuck, dude?
Beat the horn. Beat the horn.
Yo, what the fuck?
Bring up.
Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh, god damn it. Let's go. It's fire through there. Go.
You need to go, bro.
Yeah, go. 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 Come on.
The last time they told us a cow kicked over a lantern and it burnt up the Midwest basically. And all the rest of this world. They had fires at the same time in the 1800s. They told you it's a forest fire this time. How many more civilizations is going to stand by and allow this to happen? This goes to show you exactly what the military is about in these soldiers. Next time you tell a soldier thank you for your service, you need to think about what you just said. Because how is this stuff being allowed to happen? Ask yourself this. How are things like this continuously allowed to happen? We just seen this happen in Paradise, California in 2018 and various other places that I can go right on here and show you. How is this allowed to happen? If the people in the military are really good people, why are the soldiers standing by and allowing this to happen? This is a controlled demolition, sleepwalkers. Now go watch the news and let them tell you otherwise.
The Great
Find truth,
Tartarian
all you can do
Reset.
is find false, drop it and get rid of it, and eventually when you can't get rid of any more false, what you're left with is the truth. How much false can you find? And there's lots in history. And I was looking around the internet and came across the images of the 1893 Chicago World Exposition, and it blew my mind because it looked like ancient Rome in the middle of downtown Chicago. And as I looked at it further, well, here's another one in Philadelphia, here's another one in St. Louis, in Buffalo, in San Francisco, and then as soon as they were done, they tore them all down and threw them in the garbage. That just told me there's something wrong with all of these. The story of the Expositions is a gigantic lie. And I think it's so huge of a lie because I think they're right at a bridge point when so many things about the 1800s that seem strange and weird, right as this sort of period ends of unbelievable strangeness, and all of a sudden these fairs spring up all over the world with impossible buildings we're talking about, which are colossal structures. Chicago built 700 acres of fair in supposedly less than 2 years. St. Louis built 1,200 acres of exposition buildings. One of the buildings in Chicago, the manufacturer's building, would house 300,000 people. There's a giant statue in the middle of the lagoon. It was called the Golden Lady, and it was known as the Statue of the Republic. It was 65 feet tall. They say it was covered in gold leaves that had copper underneath, but others speculate it was actually made out of solid gold. So you're talking 65-foot high, potentially solid gold statue. We're talking giant structures and looking like ancient Rome with towers and domes and columns and the most fine, ornate pieces to them in these record, unbelievable times. Then as soon as they're done, chuck them in the garbage. Like Jackson Park is a swamp. So supposedly they had to drive down tens of thousands of wooden stakes in order to support the weight of everything. They dug out massive lagoons, lakes. They had a canal system that ran through the entire exposition. They also had an above-ground electric train. An electric train, well, where's the electricity coming from? That's running around the park. They had a moving walkway down by the shore. Not enough people are asking, where does this technology come from?
Just to frame it, if I'm not mistaken, the Chicago Fair was the first time people had seen electric light.
Tesla's the one who got the electricity contract for the Chicago Exposition, and it was certainly more than all of the lights anyway that were in New York City at the time were at the Chicago Exposition.
Now, it must have been mind-blowing for most of those people who had only seen gaslight or candlelight at night to see that city lit up in such a way. Again, count the way it's 1901. We are told, whether it's true or not, the idea of being able to electrically do anything hasn't been around that long.
And this fair is bizarre. This is supposed to be Tesla's fair, where he managed to somehow move electricity from Niagara Falls to Buffalo for the fair. No one's really explained how he actually did that. And at the middle of the fair is a 395-foot-high electrical tower, on top of which, of course, is a female golden statue called the Goddess of Light. And this thing was lit up by, some suggest, 500,000 electric light bulbs. Again, when you look at the photos of this thing, it's just, where do they really get the power from?
I mean, think of what it would take today if you had a place with no electricity and no way to pipe it in, the generators that would have to be built.
For example, there's a building that went up for the Barcelona Exposition in 1888. It was claimed to be the fastest built building in the world, 5,000 square meters, capacity for 2,000 guests, 600 rooms, 30 apartments, and it was supposed to be built in 53 days. This is supposed to be a time of horse and buggy. The 2-year building times are actually impossible unless the two most likely theories would be either A, they had a technology that they're not supposed to have, and it really was built in that time frame. Even if they built them, they had to build them out of marble and stone in record time. or the buildings were already there. They'd been there for hundreds or thousands of years, fixed up, refurbished, repainted, hence the term whitewashed, which is the term that was used for the Chicago Exposition, which was paint all the buildings with this brand new spray paint that they had just developed to spray paint all the buildings in record time, so you couldn't tell if anything was old or anything was new.
How long did these things tend to stay open? When they built these things, supposedly over 2 years, which is the narrative, how long were they there for?
About 6 months.
6 months for the public to come.
And then what was amazing, for example, in St. Louis, 2 days after the fair ended, they brought in a demolition team from Chicago with explosives and blew the thing up. They actually used dynamite to blow it up, and they say threw it in landfills. Things like the World Fairs shows there was a time in our past, and even not that far in our past, where humans seemed to be at a completely higher level. Human living and human knowledge were constructed into the buildings using cymatics, using sacred geometry. These fairs, they're so important to study because the history that we know right now as history was invented at the time these fairs were going on. One of their underlying nefarious purposes was to teach a historical narrative to the population that they were supposed to believe and agree with. And scarily, the world we're walking into today is in some way has its origins during the time of these fairs.
Everything they told us is a lie. The rulers of this world are not human. They've been doing this shit to humanity over and over again, and we've been believing lies. This shit is serious. They told you this was the Great Flood in the Bible.
History has been lying to us. There was a civilization called the Tartaria Empire that was far superior and more sophisticated than we could ever imagine. They were able to use the atmospheric energy to obtain electricity, and by having free energy, they were able to focus on more pressing and more important endeavors, such as creativity, love, and self-development. Their advancements influenced great feats and built vast cities and infrastructure all over the world. However, due to the rise in the influence of the civilization, it was said that they were systematically destroyed, with their buildings knocked down and technological advancements erased from our history books by oppressors to keep us all enslaved and in check. That's why many people say that.
These beings that control this world, they call the shots. The people you see on TV in this so-called government, they just front men. The creatures that control this world are the things that you've read about in our religions. The jinn, the demons, the whatever you want to call them, whatever your mind has accepted them to be. But these are the rulers. They are not human, as I said before. What type of human commits atrocities like this? That's the problem with humanity. You think you're dealing with your equals, but you are not. We are not dealing with our equals. These are malevolent beings you're dealing with. They did this to the world a couple of 100 years ago.
And take a look at some of these fire pictures. Fires that will leave brick and rubble, yet utility poles and trees intact. Gotta love the carriages being pulled by horses here. And then a Springfield, Illinois. Same thing. Brick buildings and stone buildings left to rubble, leaving trees and utility poles intact. Then to Peshtigo, Wisconsin in 1871. Fun fact, the Great Fire of Chicago, Peshtigo, and Michigan all occurred at the same time. They tell us that the fire came and traveled because it was really dry all the way up to Michigan and Wisconsin. Of course, we're not lucky to get pictures of all of these great fires, but the ones we do see, you see grass over here in the bottom left, completely unscathed, but brick and ruin. Are you noticing the trend? Utility poles untouched, everything else around it in rubble. Clearly erasing history to install the narrative of the controllers. City by city, telling us silly stories of cows tipping over lanterns, or glue pots tipped over with sick horses. Whatever the silly narrative was, the purpose was the same: the complete destruction of our true history. As Napoleon said, history is nothing more than a set of lies agreed upon. And I say it's quite clear it's a set of lies they agreed upon. The most effective way to destroy people is to deny and obliterate their understanding of their history. And they have done that quite effectively. Research the mud flood and fall of Tartaria. Question everything, friends.
Daisy,
Daisy,
give me your answer to.
I felt crazy.
I've been trapped in Lahaina for the last 4 days. And I experienced firsthand what was going on there. What I went through is not important. I need to get this message out. This was not a natural disaster. This was a direct energy attack on the people and the place of Maui. If you know what lives there, what descendants live there, you know why. And you know why it happened on 8/8. And if this is not something that you believe, it's time to stop being a sheep. They came in and they took control. There were trees standing and the buildings gone. This system, this weather system, came in from the mountains, from the east. That does not happen. They were not telling people anything. They were not letting people in to help. And they were letting people go in to get burned alive. There were people burning alive in the streets. There were people dead in the water. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people that died. What they're telling you in the news is not true, and I lived it firsthand. I sat with the people. This is not to bring fear, this is to educate, because there is darkness that is being hidden. And soon people are going to see. I know now why Gaia sent me there. And I'm going to use this platform. There was no warning. There was no nothing. Please boost this post. I want everybody to see this. I don't give a fuck about me. I want everybody to see this. What they're telling you in the news is not what happened.